literally just surviving the streets, walking safely to and from school from 6 years old on up, passing the prostitutes, the pimps, the drug dealers, all the things. It was rough.
Lisa Sinnott is the resilience coach who transformed a life of extreme trauma into a worldwide mission to heal others.
Starting in the hood in Oakland, California, as a latchkey kid, as a minority on the streets of Oakland.
What are some of the tools that you used to get out of those resilient situations that you found yourself in?
I'm still working on forgiveness for those who hurt me, all those different predators, different times in my life.
What a pivot in your life. I mean, think about that, in a nightclub and then all the way going to church.
He said, "You are standing in the devil's playground." And then I looked around and I saw it for what it was.
What is pulling people's stories and connecting with them and capturing that and putting it out there for the world? What does that do for you personally?
I couldn't leave my bed and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And then it happened the second time and the third time. And I was like, what is going on?
What would you tell young Lisa growing up in Oakland at 14 years old, wandering the streets and not knowing, if she's gonna get home in one piece?
I was alone all the time. I would have loved to have had a bigger Lisa with me on the street. I actually had my brain tested and everything, and it's almost like they're like, I don't know how you're.
Welcome back to the COS Business Podcast, the .1 podcast in Colorado Springs.
Awesome. Well, today's sponsor is Envirolon. It's our newest sponsor of the show. Envirolon.net is the website for them, and they do like a lot of turf, AstroTurf for a lot of folks here in Southern Colorado, and they're kicking butt. I got to be honest with you. The sponsor will be on later next month, so just a heads up for that as well.
Nice. Well, we're happy to have them. We're also happy to have an amazing guest that we've been anticipating to have on for quite a while now, I think.
Yes.
And it's finally excited to have you on, Lisa Sinnott. So you've recently started, she's a fellow podcaster as well, too.
Yes.
You've recently started a podcast called The Resilience Reveal with Lisa Sinnott.
My Resilience Reveal with
Lisa Sinnott. So what led you to want to start a podcast like that?
So I actually led a crazy roller coaster of a life, starting in the hood in Oakland, California, as a latchkey kid, as a minority on the streets of Oakland. And then lots of different situations where resilience had to come to fruition. So literally just surviving the streets, walking safely to and from school from 6 years old on up, passing the prostitutes, the pimps, the drug dealers, all the things. It was rough, but I did it. And then having survived sexual abuse also from a young age, multiple times, suicidal ideations, and then 2 divorces, not great situations either. So that resilience had to come out every single time in order for me to flourish in life. But I always had this amazing love of humans, even though I was hurt by so many predators in my life. I loved beyond love, and I couldn't ever describe that. But God's always been a part of my life, so he really kept me safe on the streets as well. So resilience is a whole thing for me. And I recently went to therapy finally after 50 years. I decided to start therapy and really unpacking those triggers. And I have gained so much wisdom and healing. And I now know how to articulate putting resilience to the,
Sorry.
It's okay. Putting resilience to past traumas and not letting that affect you in today's world. And that's where my resilience coaching comes in, as well as the podcast. But the podcast is focused on other people, giving them a voice to unveil their amazing resilience life story, because there's power in that.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
When you're unpacking people's stories, and I'm sure through therapy, you've kind of been able to unpack it for yourself too, but what is it like to verbalize and articulate how you're feeling, because I feel like that's one of the first parts of therapy is like, okay, I have this feeling, but I don't necessarily know how to describe it or what I'm going through. To put a finger on what you're going through and kind of describe it for other people to understand, I feel like is huge. So talk about that, especially with this new podcast. By the way, you just did it. I think you started in January of this year, right?
Yes, yes.
brand new.
It's brand new. I have a wait list of people to continue interviews. I actually had to put a stop to it. I couldn't keep up with the editing, but I will continue in a couple of weeks. But it is what you're talking about is for me, it is because I'm a resilience coach and a resilience podcaster unveiling other people's stories. When they come on, sometimes they're expecting to talk about certain things, but then as the discussion comes up, they change maybe the topic. So trying to steer them back to what they truly wanted to talk about, and then making sure that they're ready to articulate in a positive way what their story is. And then, but the biggest point is, what are the tools and resources that they used to get up out of it so that they can bring someone else hope, you know, someone who might consider suicide, or they might be using really bad vices right now and just masking the pain. Whereas there are certain actions that they can take. And if they have a story to show what actions they did take in a positive way and they're thriving today, and a lot of them have amazing stories and the give back that they're doing now as a healed person. It's pretty incredible.
We're going to take a quick break to thank our sponsors. Reveal Med Spa. Look and feel your best at Reveal Med Spas. With personalized plans that deliver real results, radiant skin, restored confidence, and natural rejuvenation.
At Reveal Med Spa, we see you. More than just aesthetic and wellness treatments, we provide a safe, judgment-free space where you feel valued, heard, and supported.
Visit revealmedspas.com.
I think it is literally just that too. We'll just double check. Book your next session at revealmedspas.com. That's revealmedspas.com.
Home Day. Buying a home shouldn't be overwhelming. Home Day empowers you to save on your mortgage by putting you in control of the process. Lower your cost and take the next step towards home ownership with ease. Visit gethomeday.com today.
Fast Signs. From banners to vehicle wraps, Fast Signs delivers custom visual solutions to help your business stand out. Their team ensures your message is clear, bold, and effective. Get your signage needed handled at fastsigns.com. That's fastsigns.com. Epic Eyewear. Stylish, affordable, and designed for adventure, Epic Eyewear has the sunglass and eyewear you need to see life more clearly. From the mountains to the beach, protect your eyes with high-quality frames and lenses. Check out their collection at epiceyewear.com. And by the way, Andrew, we do have a special discount, COSBP 15 for 15% off, I believe.
Cars Helping Charities. Turn your unused cars into a meaningful contribution with Cars Helping Charities. They make it easy to donate your vehicle to support local causes. One of the local charities that we like to support on behalf of Cars Helping Charities, actually, and part of their sponsorship is Mattersville. And check them out too.
They're awesome. They are a tiny house community for veterans suffering with PTSD. They have a property out in Yoder, Colorado, and then they also have one in Sedalia, Colorado as well.
Donate today and make a difference. Visit carshelpingcharities.org. That's carshelpingcharities.org.
Dream Accounting Solutions.
Take the stress out of managing your books with Dream Accounting Solutions. They provide reliable expert accounting services tailored to small businesses. Simplify your finances at dreamaccountingsolutions.com. That's dreamaccountingsolutions.com.
Exponential Impact. Exponential Impact is driving innovation and entrepreneurial success in Colorado Springs. Supporting startups with mentorship, funding, and community resources, they help businesses grow and thrive. Learn more about their impact at exponentialimpact.com. That's exponentialimpact.com.
And now let's get back to the show. Let's flip that back on you, actually. What are some of the tools that you used to get out of those resilient situations that you found yourself in?
Yes. Well, you know, I'll say this. Back when I was broken, religious abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, really awful divorces, you name it, single mom, multiple times. I was resilient in an amazing way especially like when I became a single mother. I did amazing as far as I kicked butt in corporate America. I was promoted every 6 months. I worked that mess. I was making such good money, but was Lisa okay inside? No. Was I dating men? No. Would I call them men? No. I called them male Homo sapiens for 6 years because of one man who crushed me like a bug. And it was hard, but I thought I was great. Was I resilient? Yes, but I was not a resilient in a positive way. Enough to pay the bills, but I never truly healed inside. So that's where the therapy, even now, I'm still healing. I'm still working on forgiveness for those who hurt me, all those different predators, different times of my life. But now when it comes up, I can identify it because it's still, sometimes I'll feel that scab just rip off inside of me. And I'll be like, man, why was I so mad that John just said that? And I realize, oh, this is not John. This is husband number one, or this is daddy abandonment issues from when my dad abandoned me again, just all the things that a lot of people have experienced. But now I'm able to identify that emotion and the trigger. And then I use certain tools. It depends if I'm in public, if I'm in private, whatever, which type of tools I'll use. But self-care has been a huge deal for trauma therapy for me. I literally take an Epsom salt bath every single day. I love it. It's just a natural way to extract the gook out, and it's good for the muscles because I work out too. So yeah, it's a win-win.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you what are some of those things, and
yes,
like what is self-care? Because self-care could be such a blanketed word for so much things. Like what I was going to ask you what that looked like. It sounds like Epsom salt baths.
Yes.
What else are you doing?
Workout. Working
important.
out is So body, mind, soul is big for self-care. And I definitely do that. I mentioned I'm a believer. I commune with God. I talk to him on a daily. I don't set aside time. Some people are really good at doing that in the morning or night or whatever. I just talk to him all throughout the day. And that is from when I was a child. He would literally tell me on the streets of Oakland, turn left, turn right, go straight, duck here, do this, do that, to save my life. And back when I started driving, there were just the manual maps that you had to open up.
Oh, yeah.
And I would be in Oakland, one street, you can get killed. The next streets, you're with the millionaires. So I would find myself in really bad situations sometimes if I got lost. So I would just be like, okay, Lord, tell me where to go. And he would just direct my steps, literally.
Oh man, that's insane. That's there's a lot to unpack with all that trauma. And it's one of those things of like, most people, if they don't go introspect and do the therapy, it's flight or flight right away. And it's before you even know that you're in it and you're doing those things and you're reacting that you're like, oh my gosh, why did I do that?
I'm so glad you said that. Okay, so let's talk about that. So for me, because I've had so many different types of trauma, like for the sexual trauma, for example, having been sexually molested multiple times from different predators at a young age, that is the freeze mode. So I never learned the flight mode until I had to flee from abusive relationships, where I literally had to force myself to physically finally leave. But I actually had my brain tested and everything, and it's almost like they're like, I don't know how you're functioning. Like, Lisa, you have your foot on the gas and the brake the whole time. You're in fight or flight and freeze, fight or flight and freeze, like all through the day. And once I started my therapy, that really helped me. And I have 2 therapists, one's for the marriage and one's for me.
That's great. That's a great way to do it, to be honest with you, right?
Seriously.
Yeah.
I am just a huge proponent, and I've had awful therapists, but that's why I tell everyone, just find the right one to unpack it, and not to have a best friend who will listen to you. I mean, you want a real person who, I mean, when I interviewed my therapist and I was like, listen, you're our marriage therapist. I'm in this to win this. I don't ever want to hear you steering me to get a divorce from him. I want to learn tools, resources. So does he. So
that's good, setting those expectations up front.
Exactly. And then I told my other therapist the same thing for me. I said, I don't ever want you to steer me off my marriage, my religion, anything like that. I am who I am, but I need help desperately. I don't know how to function in the situations that I'm going to share with you.
Well, Well, perspective is so much in this world, and especially when you're talking about Oakland, California. I don't think a lot of people, especially, I'm not saying Colorado Springs is so great, but it's not of the level of like a big city Oakland type of like, you do go down the wrong road and you're a blonde girl, white blonde girl. There's actual threats to be
Mhm.
had at that situation. Talk a little bit about that and like living in a space like that. That's a big sprawling place, but there's a lot of danger there, and
Yes.
I think a lot of folks at home who are listening from Colorado Springs might somewhat understand it, but like at that level, it's a little bit different.
So at a young age, I learned how to connect with humans at a very deep level. And it started with eye contact and respect for who they are as a human. So I learned really quickly as somebody of what I was shaking inside about walking towards me as I'm trying to get to school. I would look them in the eye and say, "Good morning," and then walk on. And it threw them off completely. Whereas I had other friends who would freak out and they would like jet their eyes down and totally disrespect. And those people would cuss my friends out. So I said, no, you got to respect individuals. So that's where I started to really, I studied humanity just at being forced on the streets, truly. But all the way up into high school, when I hit high school, I did move to France for a couple years. I moved back to America when I was 16. And when I hit America at 16, all my childhood friends that I knew on the streets, all of a sudden they were like drug dealers. And I had no idea because I was friends with them. So to me, drug dealers weren't dangerous. They were my friends. So I had friends in all places, every corner of the city you can think of, because I would talk to them. And in high school, my husband, John, says, wow, you were a networker early on, even in high school. I was never truly given like food money or anything. I don't know. My parents never paid attention. So the kitchen workers knew me. They always gave me a peanut butter sandwich,
Aw.
which saved me through middle school and high school. But in high school, I quickly learned all my friends that drove, I didn't have to take city buses anymore. So that saved me. And I'm totally social. So I knew where all the cool parties were. So they wanted me in the car to get to all the parties. And then on the campus at lunch every day, I would literally, depending on what was happening, if I had an exam to take, I would go to my nerdy friends in the library to get help for the test that was after lunch. Or I would go to the trees where my pothead friends were to just chill out with them. Or I would go to the jocks on the senior lawn and then just shoot the breeze with them. I mean, it was just so much fun. And then every single pot I would go to, people would just, hey, Lisa, you want a piece of my bagel? You want some fruit? You want this? You want that? They had no idea that I was truly hungry and that I had no money.
Wow.
Mhm.
Insane. So you knew how to leverage your connections and make best of all the different circles that you kind of walked in, and you were kind of like that social butterfly for survival. I mean, we're talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? I mean,
Yes.
basic food and shelter, like those are the things you're looking at, and people don't even know that. They just think that you're hanging out and you're already starting to utilize your surroundings. It's very interesting at such a young age. So would you say that you grew up very quickly as a child?
Oh, yeah. Very quickly, but very stunted at the same time for growth, because I realized I lost a whole. So I got born again at 19. I was hardcore. I told you, I mentioned France. I hit France. I was 13 going on 14. My 14th birthday, I hit the nightclubs out in Europe. No drinking age, no club age. With my mother's permission, of course, she let my sister take me. So I hit the world hard. And from 14 until 19, I was out there partying hard. And I just put God to the wayside. But he got a hold of me in a rave in downtown San Francisco. I was high on ecstasy in this crazy, dark, big warehouse. This is back when the raves were just starting in the 90s. And all of a sudden, God just lowered the music like in a movie. And he said, you are standing in the devil's playground. And then I looked around and I saw it for what it was, and people just having sex on the sidelines, and all the drugs, and all them crazy and their eyes bulging from the drugs that they were on. And then all of a sudden the music went back up. And then I went home. I literally set my alarm at 2 a.m. to get up at 6 a.m. I took 2 city buses, still high on ecstasy, mind you, in the rain to the church I grew up with. And I walked in there and I told God, I said, listen, if you're real, you need to prove that you're better than these drugs and alcohol. And then he just lifted my hands. I mean, it was like this incredible funnel from me all the way up to the heavenlies. And I've never felt such a euphoric, amazing feeling in my life. And then I turned my life completely to Christ. I didn't talk to anyone. I cut myself completely off from all of my worldly friends, I'll call them. And then I went and just got Christian friends and listened to Christian music. And so I literally do not know the 90s because I graduated in 90. So I don't know the music in the 90s because I got married at a young age, had kids. So when you say the maturity and the growth and all of that, I missed out on that part. But at the same time, I felt like I saved my life because I could have been dead, truly, with the road that I was on.
Gosh, that's so much to unpack. I had no idea about any of that stuff. I don't know if Andrew did either, but that's truly an insane story. And I can see why faith drives you now through so much. It's a very, very similar story to me. I would say we came back to my faith like 3 to 4 years ago, but I went like 10 years. I went my actual 20s without really having much faith. So I was kind of a little bit different in that aspect, but came back nonetheless, just like you. But
awesome.
I mean, it's interesting when you surround yourself or like what you consume, whether it's being an entrepreneur, a human being, or whatever it might be, like you were talking about before, going to the clubs, hanging out with people, doing drugs, doing that. And then like you kind of immerse yourself in that. And that's like the fire you stay around and it consumes you at some point.
Yes.
But then when you kind of turn that off and then you say, hey, listen, I'm going to give it all up to you. I'm going to listen to that music. I'm going to surround myself around folks who are godly folks.
Yes.
And like how that changes your life in so many ways. And also like the teachings of the Bible are just so great for just living a better life. In my opinion, what a pivot in your life. I mean, think about that in a nightclub and then all the way going to church early in the next morning.
Yes.
Talk about, I mean, that transition in the 90s. It sounds like, I mean, one, you switch over very quickly, but surely a lot of habits die hard, you know. I'm assuming, you know, getting married and stuff like that, a lot of traumas from your past probably came back to you, which happens to all of us, you know, but sometimes like when you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Talk about those experiences.
Well, I'll say this, having been born again and staying in the church, predators are everywhere and they love to predate in the church. And so, yeah, that happened. And I basically married a wolf in sheep clothing. So, you know, but he is the father of my 2 beautiful daughters. And I love that we had them.
Yeah. That's hard. And I understand that for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
It's just, isn't it interesting how life is sometimes? The most beautiful thing could come out of one of the most ugly situations.
Exactly. Right. And the interesting part though, is that every human, there's always 2 sides to why they do things. And so I always try to give the benefit of the doubt. And that's probably why I stayed in both marriages for so long, is always leading with love first. That's what I always do. But when you have those traumatic situations, you know, after a while, you can only handle so much.
I think also, and this is just my personal opinion and perspective, that I do feel like those, and this is just my perspective, you someone with a big heart, you attract certain types of personality types, good and bad.
Yes.
And sometimes the bad types of habits or things of people, they want to latch on to a strong, loving, nurturing spirit. And
I'm so glad you're talking about this.
it's very, I mean, you see it everywhere, right? Like the big, loving, embracing person who has parties and everybody can come in and let's get food and let's feed it. They attract those people in. And sometimes like, you don't know because you have such a big heart, those people try to take digs at your heart. And a lot of people after that fact can close their heart off or they can gain the wisdom and be like, I'm still going to have my big heart, but I got to have a lot more discernment in the people I allow into my immediate circle. So talk about that.
Yes. So I am a huge empath and a discerner of humans. And that, thank the Lord, God gave me those two gifts, because that truly saved me a lot in life. But that helped me heal also with leading with love, even more so, leaning into the love factor. So when it comes to discernment, it's hard for me because I feel that empathy, but at the same time, now that I'm older, I have the wisdom to sever ties, to create boundaries. As a child, I didn't know how to do that. So now I do. I am very quick to say no, thank you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's good. And like I said, it's like a work in progress too. I'm sure there's instances where you're like, man, like I got to relearn this situation, but now I know to, cut whatever off it is. You have a good heart. So you're going to allow those people. And sometimes they show up and they're harder to discern at different times, but the fact that you've built such a good radar for that because of the pain and struggles through your life is it's also a blessing, as much as it probably hurts for me to say that, just to have that discernment at that level because you've been hurt in so many different ways.
Well, I love that you said it's a blessing, because it is. It was hell and back many times in my life. However, it is a blessing. It literally, the pain created my purpose for what I am doing today on helping others in their resilience and to rise up and to soar forward. Everyone talks about resilience as the bounce back. Well, like what I shared earlier, the bounce back was great with the money, all that, as a single mom taking care of the bills, but I was not bouncing forward in a healthy way. And that's the key to the resilience coaching that I do, is taking the steps. And I only will work with someone for 90 days. That's it. I won't go past that. They're either going to do the work hardcore for 90 days and we're done, or they'll just completely flop and not do anything. And that's why I don't prolong it. And I'm not a therapist at all. I won't unpack, I'll do all that, but I will help them with that. But I wanted to share with the Be Encouraged show, how Frank and I, we do pop-up hug campaigns around the city.
We've been seeing that.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And that's been amazing. But when we first started the hug campaign, you want to talk about getting people's stuff on me. The first time we did the hug campaign, I was laid out the next morning. Like all day, I couldn't leave my bed and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And then it happened the second time and the third time. And I was like, what is going on? And then someone reminded me, people are putting their junk on you. You're absorbing it. You have to cleanse yourself off each time. So now, before I do the hug campaign, when I realized it was a spiritual thing, now I text people. I say, hey, pray for me tomorrow. I'm on the hug campaign. And so I've got warriors out there for me. And then I just pray over myself and then I do it and it's amazing and I feel great. But it is important to understand that in humans, we all do have things that we unleash on people, whether it's verbally or if you're hugging someone, a handshake, even high fives. If you're doing anything touchy-feely with people, it can come onto you. So you got to really protect yourself. That's also the self-care.
We'd like to take a quick break and thank our sponsors.
Pioneer Rodeo.
The Pioneer Rodeo is back August 15th through the 17th at Norris Penrose Event Center with 2 nights of rodeo and wild demolition derby finales.
Tickets go on sale June 1st. Details at pioneerrodeo.com.
Bolton Co. Executive Coaching.
Up feels better than stuck. You know that. But in this market, how do you get unstuck and get ahead as an executive?
Our guy JB is an executive coach at Bolton Co. Coaching, where he believes you don't have to change who you are. You just need an injection of effectiveness and a proven competitive edge roadmap for your way up. Head to boltonco.net. That's boltonco.net. ProLift Garage Doors. ProLift Garage Doors are your locally owned and operated residential and commercial garage door experts. From fast repairs and smooth replacements to routine tune-ups, they keep your doors running like new.
Go with the pros at ProLift Garage Doors.
Visit proliftdoors.com to learn more. Be Our Guest Getaways. Be Our Guest Getaways specializes in Disney cruise resort and theme park vacations.
Planning a Disney vacation can be stressful, Let Be Our Guest Getaways provide you with concierge-level service for free.
Learn more at beourguestgetaways.com. That's beourguestgetaways.com.
Planet Duct. Planet Duct is the #1 choice for professional air duct cleaning in Colorado Springs and Southern Colorado. With state-of-the-art equipment and top-tier service, they make sure the air in your home or business is clean and allergen-free. Breathe easier with Planet Duct. Learn more at planetduct.com.
Awesome Home Services. Awesome Home Services delivers top-notch HVAC solutions for your home. Whether you need heating, cooling, or system maintenance, they ensure your comfort year-round. Visit awesomeservice.com for your HVAC needs. That's awesomeservice.com.
Proud American Electrical and Solar.
Give Proud American Electrical and Solar a call today for all your electrical and solar needs. They are locally owned and operated business right here in Colorado Springs. If you're looking for information on solar, this is the company you will want to call. Check out their website at proudamericansolar.com. Use promo code COSBusiness for a 5% discount today.
Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care.
Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care offers affordable, accessible healthcare with a focus on you. They provide exceptional primary care without the hassle of insurance barriers. Experience a patient-centered approach. Learn more at pinnacleapc.com.
And now let's get back to the show. You kind of segue to what we want to talk about with the Be Encouraged with Frank.
Yes.
It's funny because, I mean, I know oftentimes you guys refer to yourself as like, you're like the female version of Frank Sinclair or whatever, but I think that like one of the coolest things about podcasting in general is like you can go on a TV show and you can get the sound bites of Lisa or the sound bites of Frank, and you guys share so much encouragement, so much positivity. But like what I love about this type of environment is that we get to really get to understand your background, because sometimes people are just like, oh, they're happy all the time. They would never know about my issues. They don't know. I mean, they're just these positive people giving hugs at, like, they don't understand what it takes to be someone as strong as you guys in our community.
Yes.
And so thank you for sharing that, because that's the part I think that most people remember, you know, is the tribulations and all the different things. And unfortunately, it's so relatable. I think it's like a third of women go through some level of like sexual assault or domestic abuse. It's just insane. And it's probably even more. I mean, that's just the numbers of women who actually have come out and said something has happened. So it's so relatable, unfortunately. And you are connecting with so many people, even beyond women.
Yes.
And so like that, I have to give you your kudos for you and Frank, because he's come on here and talked about his journey, of course, of being homeless in Colorado Springs and stuff too.
Incredible
But that's
life. Yes.
unbelievable. I'm sure a lot of that's helped equip you for this next phase of your life. And I know it's changed a lot over the years. So talk about even more recent years, because it's been really cool just to watch, you know, kind of where you guys have gone, you personally, all the things that you do now since then, since moving to Colorado Springs. Talk about that as well.
Yeah. Well, when I moved to Colorado Springs, went through a horrible divorce that took a minute. And then I had to find a job after 10 years of being hidden under a rock. And so my sister took me out networking, and I was like, what's networking? She's like, just meet me. It was at Buzz with the Bees over on the soccer field, 7:30 in the morning. She's like, just put on a cute dress and sandals and meet me at 7:30 in the morning. And I was like, okay. And then we were walking around the event, and I was like, people get paid to do this? This is so fun. What are you talking about? So within a month and a half of networking, I landed a job doing business development. Came very easily for me. I mean, because I love humans. I can connect. I can work a room like no one's business and make someone feel so welcome and genuinely seen and heard in 20 seconds. And a lot of people can't do that naturally. So I am a huge connector because I love humans. I mean, I just eat it up. I love their stories. I can relate to them. I love to pull out what's happening in the now with people. And everyone is so used to putting on a mask when they walk into a room. And Frank's the same way. So him and I met. It's now been, I think 10 years we've been friends in community. He was a business developer for his son's roofing company. I was doing business development as well. And then, but his wife, Michelle, you know, she teases us and says, oh my gosh, you're the female version of Frank. And you know, he's the male version of me, truly. But, you know, that's just me saying that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but we're having a lot of fun. I mean, our whole mission is to infuse hope and encouragement to the world. Now we've been in, I think, 15 different countries already, doing Instagram lives around the world. It's just been amazing. We do 4 shows, 2 live Instagrams on Mondays, and then 2 live vodcasts like we're doing today here. But yeah, it's amazing. I mean, just pulling out people's stories and just uplifting them, because people. And it's interesting because during our podcast, it is like pulling teeth to get people to tell their personal story. Like you said, most women have been affected by something negative somehow, some way, but most don't talk about it. And everyone who comes on our podcast, even though it's called the Be Encouraged Show, they are just all about their resume, and that's what they start off with. And they just want to share what they're doing for business because that's the safe space to do. And that's when I came up with the Resilience podcast, because I'm like, no, because I realized in our show that I was like, oh, no. I just heard you say this. So, and I would like be really good at digging deep into their personal story. And I was like, no, people's resilience stories need to come out. And that's when I birthed the Resilience Reveal story, is them unveiling their stories, because they're, again, healing. It's empowering to them. Some people have never verbally said their story ever in public, and they're coming on to my show and doing it. That takes so much courage.
Gosh, what a beautiful way to put it. What is pulling people's stories and connecting with them and capturing that and putting out there for the world? What does that do for you personally?
So I will say it's really hard on an emotional, personal level, because every single day I'm having to tell some pain point of my story in order to get someone else to tell theirs. And most people, like I said, don't tell their true stories. And I tell some deep little nugget of just one of many pain points in my life, and it opens the floodgates. All of a sudden they feel safe, and it's a Me Too moment. And they're just unveiling and unleashing everything that they went through. And for me, because I have so much love, I mean, I just want to like bottle them up and, hug them and, the mama bear in me. But I see the emotion and the feelings of healing start to take place as they're telling their stories. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is beautiful. It's interesting just to, like, when we first started this, I knew there would be deep stories to unravel, but I had no idea of what kind of stories that we would and how often it would be unveiled, which is a good testament to how we run the show, I guess, because we're able to have people share intimate stories like that. But it's just like, you think when these things happen to you, especially if they happen to you when you're younger, you feel like you're the only one, you're isolated maybe to your family that's going through this situation. And so it's so hard to share, because you're like, man, how unlucky am I to have this happen to me? And I cannot believe it even happened to me. Did it happen to me? And you isolate so much in that.
Yeah.
And so then you become in adulthood and you still have it isolated. And then it just feels like a shell of yourself that you're trying to put on, because you're trying to move up in the business world and do all these different things. Meanwhile, you're not paying attention to the core thing that happened so many years ago.
That's right.
And it slowly eats away at you. Either you get at it or it gets at you, right?
That's exactly right. And, I had some past traumas that I'd actually forgotten. I had buried it deep because I was pretty young. And then when I started my therapy, that's when stuff started really coming at me. And I was like, what in the world? I thought I had enough issues. I don't need to unveil and, rip the scab off from back when I was this age or whatever. But it's so important to do that. And people say, oh yeah, I'm doing self-care. Oh yeah, I'm taking care of myself. I'm good. But you know what? I was tired, to be honest, of being the perfect trophy wife. I can put on any mask you can think of and play the role. I am very good. I mean, you take those personality tests. I always hovered in the center, and I never fit into a box. And I always thought, I want to fit into a box. Why can't I fit into a box? And then I realized that's my gifting. I'm a chameleon. I can literally hover, and I can do a deep dive on an Excel spreadsheet if you need me to, or I can take charge of a meeting and be president of VetNet if you want me to. I can do whatever needs to be done in a situation to take care of whatever needs to be done. But and I think that's how the power of connection comes for me so easily, because a lot of people don't have that innate ability in order to get people comfortable enough to talk. But podcasters do, right? You guys
Yeah.
are my brothers.
Yeah. I think it takes eclectic experiences. Like,
Yes.
for me, I always tribute back to my dad. Like, my dad, like, he's a bar guy. And so I grew up in a bar, and instead of being like, oh, wow, I grew up in a bar and saw some things that were definitely traumatic, like, it helped me a lot with my street smarts, my emotional intelligence, because people in those backgrounds, I mean, you could find anybody from any background in a bar, in a neighborhood bar, white
Yes.
collar, blue collar, everything in between. And you learn how to interact with people from all backgrounds when you do
Mhm.
that. And it is a skill. It is like a chameleon. But at the same time, like, you're not like, I know for sure, like, I'm still being my authentic self. I can just
Yes.
pull from different buckets. Probably
Exactly.
similar to you. So talk about that too, because I think authenticity, of course, in podcasting is huge.
Mhm.
You're a very authentic person.
Mhm.
So I don't want anybody to think anything else, because you can pull from these buckets because you have all these different life experiences, right?
Correct. That's right. So that's why I like to ask questions. At least, are you talking about when I'm on a podcast, pulling
Just
them
in
out, or
general,
just in
when you're
general?
meeting people and people
Yeah.
from all different backgrounds, I'm sure like someone like might be scared to tell you something. You're like, listen, I don't want to bridge the gap here, but I've been through something like that, very similar,
Yes. Well, as I'm meeting with someone, I can usually sense if someone's been abused, or if someone has an anger problem, or whatever it is. I'm a really good discerner. So I will usually kind of steer a situation, the conversation towards me getting super upset over something so small. And it wasn't even my husband's fault or my kid's fault. It was totally me. And I just be vulnerable. I am an open book now. And I think that comes with maturity. Because back in the day, I would have never said, I was so prideful. I was just like, oh no, I got the best kids. I got the best husband. I got all this. And it wasn't true. My kids messed up, and my husband would mess up. I would mess up. Everyone's real. So now I don't bother. I'm not fake at all. I mean, I say it. And I think that authenticity is so important, because people read that immediately, just
Mhm.
like children do, right? Well, adults, I mean, they're a little less prone to identify as quickly as a child can identify a weird adult. Weird adults can't really identify other weird adults as quick as children can. And that's why I love children so much, because I'm right on their level. Like, I am a kid at heart, always will be. I mean, I get to their level, and I just love children because they are truly authentically real.
Oh yeah.
If they hate you, they'll tell you. They'll bite you. They'll throw cars at you, or rocks at you, or little whatever toys they have, or, they're real. And in humanity, we're all real like that, but we learn to just stuff it and not say why we're upset, not even think about why we're upset. We just know we're upset. So then we use vices to mask that
Mhm.
upset. Why is that? Why not deal with the core, like you mentioned?
Why do you think that you've had success so early on in business? Is it somewhat of a defense mechanism to kind of shield everything else out and focus singularly on a task? Because business in a lot of ways can be very task oriented. Why do you think you had that success early on?
So it had to do with me getting along really well with people right out the gate. I started at the call center, and I worked there for 12 years.
Oh, wow.
And I thrived in the call center. And the only reason why I stuck and stayed was because I was addicted to customer service. I could diffuse a customer like that. And so I moved up very quickly in the ranks. I turned into, supervisor, and then training and development, did all that. And I loved it. And then I realized I could work just as hard, because I was also going to college, putting myself through college and working full time in the call center. And then I got engaged, and then I got married, and then I had kids, and then the whole college thing went to the wayside. So I almost had my AA degree, but I realized real quickly, everyone who had their bachelor's and master's degree, I moved past them so quickly in corporate America, it wasn't even funny. I mean, I was just like, they have degrees, and I just got promoted this many times above that. So I don't need a degree. And I know that's kind of against some people with their thought of you must have education, but I had street smarts.
Yeah.
I had an education that was indescribable to help people with whatever products, sales, customer service, diffusing the situation, whatever it was, I could do it. And you can't teach that at the university.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge difference. I was just thinking about this earlier when you were talking about, I'm like, there's a difference between, of course, IQ and EQ, right?
Yes.
And I definitely have attribute my level of EQ more even than my IQ in a lot of aspects, especially like I am the guy who got like the college degree, didn't use it. I mean, I have a marketing agency and it was in marketing, but I didn't present myself a diploma to open my own agency. So really didn't mean much. But it's so true. Because like, I think Simon Sinek says that he says that if you don't know people, you don't know business. It's the truth. I mean, that's at the core. You're dealing with people.
Exactly.
Until AI takes over, you're dealing with people, you know?
Yeah.
And it makes sense that you're able to have that success because those are intangibles. Like you can get a degree, you can pay for a degree and go to, get B's and C's and get a bachelor's. But like, how do you develop that emotional and, people intelligence to do what you do?
Exactly. Yeah. You're right. The emotional part of it is huge. I use it all the time now that you're saying that. I never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. And it gets kicked in all the time. And I'm sure you guys experience it, especially with podcasters. But talking about AI, I think people like me who's created for that human connection, people are going to crave that more and more. And that's where like the Be Encouraged show with Frank and Lisa and my Resilience Revealed podcast and the Cause Business podcast, all of these podcasts that we're creating is human connection and really tapping into the amazing human behind the business. And AI can do great things. I mean, I use it every day. I'm sure you guys do too, but you can never, ever get rid of that human aspect.
I agree. It's going to be interesting because there's different things coming out that help on an emotional level with AI. But you're right, because like for me, at least right now in this moment, like there's certain things that only a human can fulfill what I need. And I hope that's kind of where this leads to. It's like, okay, we have the tasks being done by this, but if I want like a very human thing, you're going to yearn for human things eventually, because it's going to become more and more sparse probably. I mean, it kind of already is. If you think about a lot of us working remote, right? We're not all working big corporate jobs or in a factory, seeing people every day. Like, I don't know how you guys spend your day, but a lot of mine's behind a computer at my house alone. It's kind of isolated. So I yearned for that. I have to go to a coffee shop and work. Like I need to sharpen. I mean, I host a podcast with Andrew. I got to sharpen those social skills, It's very interesting. I tend to agree with what you're saying though. Like I think the human connection, I hope it's irreplaceable. There's a lot of crazy stuff and he knows more than me. I mean, like it's an interesting thing because there's so much technology coming out,
Well, when I think about that, I do think that it will get to a level where will actually program the AIs to be that human-like. And I think they will be. And I think it's a good thing because there's a lack of that. And so like, if we can supplement that, then that helps people, I think, like, or if, therapy costs too much, paying $20 a month for an AI therapist that as long as it can like help you resolve your issues, then that's better than not having that, right? Is what I think. So
because it is truly an answer engine and it's smart, right? And it's going to get smarter and smarter every single day. So I love that I never tried to ask therapy questions. I need to play with that.
Okay.
Have you done that?
Done what?
Ask therapy questions to AI?
Oh yeah, I've done that a lot. But
Really?
there's software that's being designed specifically for therapy. There's a thing called Abby actually.
We're just talking about it today.
They're not a sponsor of the show yet, but maybe we can get them on.
Yeah.
But it's like $20 a month. And it's specifically designed and it actually has an onboarding process. Like it asks you what your expectations are, like from what you want out of it. And it goes through a whole onboarding process, but it has, it's trained specifically on like the literature of like the psychiatry literature and the DMV or whatever, not the DMV though, whatever it's called. It's trained on all that stuff. So it's specifically tailored for that. And I'm gonna try like the free trial and see like just play with it.
Let me know.
Yeah, but
That's
I'm saying
interesting.
like even if it doesn't have that human element, as if it can help you work through issues,
Yes.
then that's great too. You know,
Absolutely. Because that's the one thing. I mean, I'll say it's half with my therapist is the tools that they give me, I could probably find on AI, right?
Mhm.
As far as the take home stuff, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But getting really creative on the empathy part of it,
Yeah.
that is irreplaceable with a
Mhm.
therapist. But also, like the hug campaign we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
those hugs are medicinal.
Mhm.
When Frank and I popped up in front of the courthouse, these people's lives are in dire
Yeah.
straits. We had 98% yes rate for hugs.
That's
And
crazy.
I mean, and it's so medicinal. They
Yeah.
need it. They crave it. And that human, even if it's to hold a hand or to high five or even to give like, an elbow bump like we used to do in COVID. I mean, people, you remember craving that
Oh,
because
yeah.
we never had it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important, right? I
Yeah.
mean, a simple hug can go so far and so long for somebody who's going through such a. You don't know what anybody's waking up to every morning and how their day progresses.
You have no idea.
Someone they could have known for 20 years who was a close friend in high school passed away, or a close
Yeah.
family member or whatever. I mean, it happens all the time. Think about like road rage. I mean, that's why I'm like,
Mhm.
everybody has had road rage at some point, but like,
Yep.
why'd you cut me off or whatever? I'm
Yep.
driving a vehicle. We can, really hurt each other. But oftentimes it's somebody who's been irked by something and then they're driving aggressively because of something that happened. And
Exactly.
you just never know. So like the hug campaign is this, did you guys come up with that on your own? Because I feel like a lot of the ideas you guys come up with are very original first and foremost.
Actually, in another city, someone was doing the hug campaign and they got in trouble over
really?
it with city officials. But last year, I was on the Mayor Civic Leaders Fellowship program, and I would see the mayor sporadically for certain times. So I literally I said, Frank, I'm going to just let him know we're doing this hug campaign real quick. So I did. I was like, oh, by the way, we were getting ready to take this picture. Frank and I are doing this hug campaign to give hugs around town. He's like, that's amazing. And I'm like, okay, cool. So if we get pulled over, Frank, for whatever reason, if someone thinks it's weird us giving hugs, I could say, but we told Mayor Yummy.
That's a good way to cover your butt for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Not like that would cover anything, but it was
Yeah.
just funny. I mean, because people find weird things for good things. I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
So yeah, we jumped on that. And Bank of Colorado, they bought our banner for us.
Oh, that's cool.
And so we just pop up the banner and go around just sharing the love.
That's great.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about infectious goodwill things that happen, right? And then who comes around you once you decide to do something like that. Like,
Yes.
I think everybody's heard of the Be Encouraged show, Frank and Lisa. I mean, that's the show that's known around, especially the business community of Colorado, even outside the business community, I would say.
Mhm.
It's such a hallmark of our community. It's such a
Thank you for
core
that.
piece of our community that I know we've talked about this extensively and gotten dinners and stuff like that, but like you guys do so much to serve the community
Mhm.
beyond just like a typical conversation. It's
Yeah.
very special for people to know. We talk about on the show a lot of how isolating entrepreneurship can really be,
Mhm.
and just to be encouraged of all these different people just trying to better each other.
Yes.
That's what makes our city so different. Is we all try to take care of one another.
Yes, we're very collaborative in the city. And when we walk into a room, we focus on that. We want to be the wind beneath everybody's wings in that room. And whether it's a high five, a hug, just offering help, coming on our podcast, same thing, it's whatever people need. And they know that we are genuine about it. Like we go to as many events as possible. You talk about hiding behind a computer. I have to truly select certain cafes that don't have many people in it because I get stopped and I can't work. So when I really have to work, I've now carved out certain days and times where I can separate myself from the public and then work on the back end stuff. But eventually I want AI or someone else, a robot, whoever else to do all the back end stuff. Cause I don't
Absolutely.
like doing that.
Yeah.
I love being in front and that's my magic.
Yeah, that's one thing that we can benefit from one another is like we've kind of been able to tackle each other's seats and how we do the show too.
Mhm.
I think that's helped a lot with a lot of different instances. I mean, I'm so blessed to have Andrew, to be honest, because Andrew does the editing of the whole episodes and
Oh yeah.
the whole vision of like how the show looks and everything too. And then I kind of get the sponsors and guests. Like it's just a good 1-2 punch to kind of,
Yes.
because it is a lot of effort. Like anybody at
Mhm.
home to do just one podcast, let alone two, like Lisa, is a lot of work.
yeah.
Talk about the takeaways from both, by the way. Like the Be Encouraged show with Frank and Lisa is amazing, but talk about key takeaways there. And then of course, the launch of your newer show. I know you're still doing both, and I'm sure sometimes you're backlogged or whatever it might be, but talk about the takeaways from both.
Yeah. So, well, the Be Encouraged show has just been amazing. Our reach is now 50,000 a week and growing. And that our mission is worldwide. So we are known very locally and truly organically connecting and encouraging everyone, but we want to multiply that. I mean, we see a big headquarters building, Be Encouraged building with ambassadors, chief encouragers all throughout the world. We want that. I mean, our vision is so big. That's our big, hairy, audacious goal with the Be Encouraged show. We want this to just infuse hope to the world because people need it. The news, everything you hear, everyone's hungry for something positive. And if you simply give someone one glimmer of hope, one piece of encouragement, it can move mountains. And it's incredible. And then my Resilience Reveal podcast, I need an Andrew to do the editing because, I'm going crazy with it, but I certainly can't afford it. But that is truly my give back personally. I don't make a lot of money on that at all. I have to have a separate studio for it. I do all my editing. So, and I do have a wait list for people who are ready to share the Resilience Reveal story because they know the power of all of it, that comes with it because they've seen the show. So, yeah.
That's great. I'm glad you're able to kind of segment both so you can kind of like different conversations with depending on like the theme of what you're doing, right?
Yes.
And like, especially in the US where like entrepreneurship is so romanticized and there is a lot of muck once you kind of get into it and you're like, I wasn't expecting this. You know, I'm still about the t-shirts and the stickers with my logo on it. And now I'm seeing, holy crap, this is really hard. So I feel like the wind beneath the sails is like so important. I definitely think you guys can be national or global for that because everybody who's been in business for longer than a year knows exactly what you're talking about. They're like, holy crap, things have gotten real. Bills have come due.
Right.
Don't have enough money to do payroll. Any of the things that go with doing business, just to have that level of encouragement, I mean, it goes a long, long, long way.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah. It's really, really important. And I think that especially the US, like entrepreneurship is such a big platform for us. Have you guys ever talked to people who are outside of the US or anything like that?
Not yet. We do have quite a few connections in Africa and in India.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So and they love us. So they get it. The ones who, and we also are only sponsor funded for the Be Encouraged show. So when we're looking for sponsors, we're not looking for just anybody. We only want the people who align with our mission to infuse hope and encouragement to the world. If they're all about something ugly on the sideline and stuff, we will not participate. We are both very good at creating boundaries around our mission.
That's good.
Yeah.
So that goes harken back to your discernment, right?
Yes.
Of like digging in and seeing.
Exactly.
Every city has those folks.
Right. Yes.
How do you kind of piece that apart with people when they're talking about sponsoring the show? Have you had to turn away from some folks already or?
It's interesting. They come on our show and they just go by the wayside afterwards. And that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
They just don't align with it. Some of them can't handle the positivity.
Can't handle the positivity.
Yeah. I know it sounds odd, but it's a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people are disgusted by it.
Really?
I think so.
Yeah.
I've seen, comments. People are like, oh, this person's too happy. Or I've seen things like that. Not me, but actually probably me sometimes. But yeah, it's a thing. People, it's their own insecurities coming out or their own pain coming out and they're just putting it out on the world. So I think that's what that is.
Exactly. And it's funny that you say that because it took me years to realize that, this has nothing to do with me. It's that person's got an issue today. Like they woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Or if I see them a second time and they're like that and the third time they're like that, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to hang out with that person. Yeah. I'm like, thanks for playing, but you're not my tribe.
For sure. Yeah.
It's so true. Like for all these years, I always thought like when people are like, hey, when you have some level of success, you're going to get haters. I'm like, there's no way that's the case. It's absolutely true.
Yes.
It's absolutely like the more you garner attention or whatever, you're gonna get people's insecurities thrown on. I mean, even for our show, we've had that many times.
I believe it.
I mean,
yeah.
people talk about my facial hair. People talk about whatever, Andrew's laugh or whatever it might be. It's just the fun. You kind of have to laugh at it. You're like, okay, well, there's some truth maybe to that. But like, it's interesting that people spend time to throw some kind of shade at you when they either barely know you or don't know you at all.
Right.
And have you guys had some level of that too, just like us?
Yes. If you look at our model, you have a black man, a white woman, two of us, both of us are married. Thank the Lord, our spouses are good with it. But we are still very, very careful with protecting the image and representing diversity, representing inclusion. I grew up in the Bay Area, like I mentioned. So for me, I mean, literally, I always tell Frank, I'm like, if you could see my blood, like, I am not a white girl. I look like the whitest white girl, but I'm literally like such a melting pot of all different cultures and experiences that I've lived my life so full around the world already that and that's how I love people for who they are as a human. And that's where the connections in Africa, India, where they come in to play, because they realize we are asking them deep questions that their culture doesn't even ask. And then we do. It doesn't matter who they are, what they look like.
That's great. I mean, that's a great part about California, though, right? It's kind of a melting pot.
It
in
is
itself.
a full melting pot.
I mean, being white there is definitely the minority in any part of California,
It
probably.
is.
So
Yes.
That's for sure. Tell us about these karaoke nights that we've been hearing. I know they're quarterly, correct?
Yes.
And there's one coming up in August. Talk about those pop-up events and what you do with that.
Okay. So this is my give back to the city, because I had to pull back a little bit from networking as much with floating both podcasts, and I am out in community still at large, but not as much as I used to be. So I literally started this Business Connect karaoke night with Lisa Sinnott. And the reason why I started it was because I realized that all the business owners I knew that were very introverted, they were the ones that would come early to the networking events and sit at the furthest available table in the corner, and they wouldn't talk to anybody, but they were there and they had their cards stacked up and they were just secure, but they were so afraid to talk and just commune with people. They love to karaoke, all my introverted business owners. So I came up with this brainiac idea to do this Business Connect karaoke with Lisa Sinnott. It's always free to enter. And I've got an amazing Brian Swanson is my
I know Brian Swanson.
Yeah. He is my karaoke sponsor. And then I've this time I've got a photographer who's going to be doing portraits for $25.
That's
which is
awesome.
amazing. That saves you $200 off the top for a new business portrait with Carrie Ann. Do you know Carrie Ann with KO Photography?
Do you know her?
She's our Be Encouraged photographer.
I think I might. Sounds familiar. But
She's incredible. So she's going to be there doing portraits, but it's once a quarter. I don't have it on a specific, I can't tell you it's every third, whatever. I always just do it based off my schedule.
Yeah.
So, but it's coming up. It's August 26th. I believe that is the last Tuesday, whatever the last Tuesday is in August.
Yeah, okay.
And it's going to be at Whirly Ball. It's 5 to 9 p.m. It's going to be amazing. So please come as my guests and sing along.
Cool.
Yes.
Isn't Looney's by there too?
Mhm.
Probably catch both in one night. There you
Yeah.
go.
There you go. Yeah. It's
I
a
do love
Tuesday
Looney's.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if Looney's is open on Tuesdays. I've never been to Looney's, but I know I've always wanted to go there.
I've been there once.
It's a good spot.
But
Yeah, it's great.
I
It's
always
legendary, yeah.
I always pick a spot that is local
Uh-huh.
and they need business. They're hungry for exposure. And that is my big mission. So I talked to the owners and I actually put feelers out, and I was
Mhm.
told this time around Whirly Ball needs you this time. And I was like, all right. So I contacted and met with the owner, and we're doing it there.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's a way to do it. And I wanted to bring that up too, just because we've been trying, and it's been my fail of like, we want to do a quarterly thing very similar to yours. We're alumni of the show because we've had so many
fun.
great alumni on the show. And
Yes.
I've kind of really dropped the ball this year because we haven't done any, but
I think we talked about it on their show, actually.
I think
Yes,
we might
you
have
did.
just thought about it.
Yes.
But yes, we did talk about it. I want to be able to collaborate with somebody who can help us with that, whatever it
Yeah.
might be, because we have so many great guests that we've had on. I know we share a lot of the same guests too. Then we can do something special. I'm thinking something of a establishment of a former guest, because we have like Michelle with Gratitude, or we have Aaron with Kwadi. So we have like so many great people with so many good establishments that we can, even Clay, he just opened up the lookup gallery. Like we've had some really cool past guests. And so I want to do that. Maybe there's ways for us to collaborate with you guys to
Absolutely
do something that sort, because it's definitely something I've dropped the ball on. So
Yes. Well, it's funny because Frank and I have talked about doing that too, but it just seemed like too much because I do my Business Connect karaoke night. So we kind of just invite everybody. I invite the whole city, to be honest. So
oh, cool.
yeah. But that
500,000 people.
Hey, they can come. If Whirly Ball has a line out the door.
Sure, yeah.
I also have Mercedes Benz. They're going to be there. They're going to pull out the red carpet. They're going to have a hot rod in front.
What?
Yeah, I'm giving them as much exposure as possible.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
We might need to talk about that too. That'd be a great sponsor for all of our shows.
Yeah.
Freaking Mercedes.
I will introduce you.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Well, this has been amazing, Lisa. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It means a lot to us. It really does peel the layers back on like who you are and your story. It just, now the mission kind of makes sense. Chief Resilience Officer, which is like your official, I think it's your official title,
Yes.
right? It kind of adds up now.
Yes.
I have one final question before I throw it over to Andrew for you to throw over to the camera.
All right.
What would you tell young Lisa growing up in Oakland at 14 years old, wandering the streets and not knowing, if she's going to get home in one piece? What piece of advice would you give her today?
I would tell her, stick with your faith, stay with God, say no to drugs, steer clear of bad influence, and keep pressing on in love.
It gets you a little emotional saying that, huh?
Yeah.
What does that mean for you to tell younger Lisa that?
It means the world because I was alone all the time. I would have loved to have had a bigger Lisa with me on the streets, giving me the wisdom and holding my hand, because the loneliness was horrible.
It's funny how life shows you things retroactively, because I feel like those awful times that are instilled in your memories, in your heart, have probably helped you a lot in today's wisdom and things that you share to people who might have gone through something similar, or just even bridging the gap for their traumas. So the trauma served you in a lot of ways. And I mean, again, thank you so much for sharing, because it means a lot to us to take that and hear it too. So I just want to let you know that it's been received very, very well, and
thank
we
you.
really appreciate it.
You guys are awesome.
Well, you were awesome. Well, this is your camera.
Okay.
Let everyone know how they can find you.
Okay. So you can reach me at lisasinnott.com. And also I am on social media all over. It's not hard to find me. Although there is someone created a weird Lisa Sinnott Instagram.
They're doing that with Frank too. Someone's got their eyes on you guys for some
I
reason.
don't
I don't know
know.
why.
Kind of weird, but they're using me and my husband's picture and it's not me. So yeah. My Instagram is Innovate Success for You.
Well, all right. This has been the COS Business Podcast, and we'll see you guys on the next one.